Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and we are not back in our normal haunt inside Renaissance Bank quite yet, but we're counting the days. In the meantime, Renaissance remains available, open, and willing to deal with you personally if you're a small business and you're tired of, 1-800 numbers, computer-generated voices, staying on hold forever. Here's what you need to do. Go to renaissancebank.com, find your local office. They've got 200 across the South ready to serve you, and give them a call. Make an appointment and go see them and do business the old-fashioned way, but with a bank that's large enough to handle your needs. So I recommend them because I've got clients that use them and I know the experience. So give them a try. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome Rena Youngblood. And Rena is the Executive Director of the Computer Museum of America. Rena, welcome.
Thank you, John. I'm so excited to be here today.
I've been looking forward to this because I'm going to learn a lot. And but tell folks a little bit about the Computer Museum of America and you. What are you up to?
Well, I tell you, we're up to a lot. The Computer Museum of America opened July 20th, 2019. So we have only been open for about 14 months. We opened, it was a soft opening. Those first 6 months, we did not go out and try to find field trips right away. We needed to learn our business and learn our model and start full force. January 2020, we're going to do it. And that's when I started. My background has been in nonprofit for the last 11 years. I was with the Georgia Charter Schools Association for 7 years and with the National Teacher Association for 5 years, where I worked at a national level. So when I saw that the Computer Museum of America was looking for an executive director, I thought about it for a couple of days because I love museums. I mean, you could have a museum I'm looking at your microphone, on microphones, and I will usually enjoy the experience of being inside a museum. And I thought about it and I was like, gosh, except for an internship in college that was at a museum, I've not done this. But I thought I need to apply and just get it out of my system because they won't call me back, right?
Sure.
But they did, and it moved forward, and it felt right, and it felt good. And so it was just a really, really exciting opportunity for myself to continue in nonprofit, continue having something that's very mission-driven in my life, and doing something that's new and such a great thing for North Fulton. The title is not just Computer Museum. It's not Computer Museum of Roswell. It's not Computer Museum of Atlanta. It is the Computer Museum of America. So the founders from the very beginning thought big. This is more than a local experience. It really is a regional experience. And there is nothing like our museum on the East Coast. So we're very excited to offer it and to raise awareness for it and to have that following of people who get to watch us really grow this into something that everyone can be proud of.
That's cool. And it's cool to be on the ground floor of something like that for sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned something there that I'm really struck by, that there is not another museum like this on the East Coast of the United States. So was that part of why the founders thought that there needed to be something like this, in this region, really?
Well, yes. I mean, a part of it was just to give you a little backstory to how
please.
this even came into existence. Lonnie Mims is the founder of the Computer Museum of America. And like many of us in nonprofit, he probably came to it, by crooked road because he took a programming class at Fernbank Science Center, way back in the day. and it was not, he fell in love with it. Programming, he enjoyed it. It made sense to him. He had a huge interest, and he started collecting, first computer, the first devices, the Walkman, just anything that's computing, electronic, technology. He just started, as with most of us, he just had a personal collection of it, and he just didn't at first get rid of anything. He liked it, and moved forward. He went to Georgia Tech, got his degree in electrical engineering because he loved it. He went into the family business, which was commercial real estate, but the technology was what he just had this huge interest in. And so he moved forward doing what he was doing. And then around 9/11, as with many of us, started to kind of reflect on, what am I doing? What can I do? And his thought was, I need to put this somewhere, because most of us get rid of things after we've used it. I had a Walkman. I have no clue where it is now. I had, some of the games, some of the things we call retro games, but I don't know where they are now. So putting them into the public to see was just a new mission. Now, he didn't just open a museum right away. They did a couple of pop-ups. Is there going to be interest? Can I do it? Do I want to do it? And the answer to all of those was yes. So in July of 2019, the permanent museum was opened, and his collection has been on exhibit since. It's a huge collection of material that we have access to, over 250,000 pieces. And so on the floor, you see 1% to 2% of what we can put out. But it is different. We know that there is a computer history museum in California, Mountain View. I haven't been. I was supposed to go in May. I'm so upset that everything came to a stop. I will visit. Yeah. But I know it from the websites and some of their virtual events that I've attended. So it's a terrific museum, but it would be kind of tough for a lot of people here to get there. Sure. If they get there, they may not think to go. So what we want to become is a trusted resource for the city, for the state, for the Southeast. We definitely see a day that trips are made by schools from Chattanooga, Birmingham, Charlotte. They will come here because they don't have this in their own cities. And so we're really excited about that day. But, today we're building the awareness that we are here and can provide those services.
Sure. So, let's get into the mission, if you will. I mean, I think you kind of danced around that a little bit in what you just said and some of the things you just said. But what is the mission, if you will? I mean,
the mission is, we just want to, change the world, right? We want to preserve and educate on the past and present of computing and technology, and in doing so, empower innovation for tomorrow. And so we're playing around with a vision statement that I really like. And so the vision is to inspire the next great what if. And that's critical thinking skills we're talking about. And so I kind of joke that it would be really awesome if the next, product that's just totally disrupting, the iPhone kind of product, someone said I was inspired by going to the Computer Museum of America. That would be fantastic. But what about the 6 or 7-year-old? And in their mind, the next great what if, it probably exists. But for them to see something and ask the questions is setting them on a road to doing something even greater later. So if the 6-year-old sees, the telephone that's in the bag, and then they think about their iPhone and smartphones, and then they ask a question about, I wonder if it can do. And I just leave that blank because their imaginations are greater than mine. Sure. That is a vision that we believe is strong. It's something that I don't think you can put an ROI on it. I don't think you can say that it would be hard to financially, but we know that those critical thinking skills, releasing some imaginative ideas is something we want all of our children and grown-ups to be doing. And we feel like a good museum with exhibits that are set up to tell stories, just sort of inspire that thinking.
What you're talking about is very similar to what I think has been happening for years at a place like the Space Museum in Huntsville, for example, right? Mm-hmm. Where kids go and their minds get opened up and they see a timeline of change that they might like to be a part of, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We like to kind of think about how when you walk into the museum, you can start to see where something impossible became possible. We kind of laugh if people are familiar. There was a magazine called Byte, BYTE, that ran from, I want to say 75 to 98, somewhere close in there. I think it was about 1983. There is a cover of that magazine of a person looking at their watch. So you can see the left hand up, they're looking at their watch, and they're slipping like a CD, like a floppy disk, into the side of the watch. 1983, that was impossible. That was science fiction, thinking you could have a computer in your watch. And look at us today. So I really believe, again, for that young mind that comes in, there was a time that something was impossible that became possible. And again, releasing that imagination and that what if, and just being empowered to think about those crazy ideas that could happen.
Yeah, for sure. Folks, we're here chatting with Rena Youngblood, and Rena is the executive director of the Computer Museum of America in Roswell. So let's talk a little bit about the exhibits themselves. And when someone comes to the Computer Museum, and maybe we need to address the COVID piece of this, right? People, what people are able to do, but when they come, what they'll find when they get there.
Well, they will find, a lot of exciting exhibits, of course, but during COVID, we had sort of a dual goals happening at the same time, preparing the museum to have guests return safely. So we've put down the one-way system arrows. We put down the plexiglass between the register and the public. Done several things to prepare for people. Meanwhile, we also decided we're not going to slow down on continuing to build out the exhibits. So we've had a timeline on a wall that's just over 1,000 square feet. So, think about that. It's larger than a lot of first apartments. And it's just this blank wall. And we had a great idea. And it was about 2 years ago. Let's just put up a timeline of significant events in technology. That was one piece of paper. Then another piece of paper came up. Let's put the people who made a contribution to technology. It grew and it grew and it grew. So 2 years later, you get kind of scared when you have to print the graphic, right? But we have on there, it's a real STEAM. It's the science, technology, engineering, arts, all of it. So we've got the artist of a time. We've got the evolution of flight and space. We've got the evolution of cars and design. We've got artists and athletes. So someone comes in and maybe they don't consider themselves a techie, but they love cars. And so they can look at a certain era and they see the design of a car and they understand that because they are interested in it. They know what. Now they get to look around and they see the games that came out during that era, the technology that happened during that era, who was born that was going to create great technology in a few years. So it really helps, I think, everyone to understand what was happening during it. So we just call that our STEAM timeline, and it's now complete. We've had a few things that we've had to add to it or change. You just find these things. And it will, we hope, one day be our first book. So we're really excited about the possibility of going there one day. Meanwhile, we also have an Enigma machine. So if anyone saw The Imitation Game, Benedict Cumberbatch played Alan Turing, who was part of Bletchley Park in England, who broke the code. The Enigma was a machine that the Nazis used, and they said the code was unbreakable. No one was going to know what they were saying. So it did take a team of people, first in Poland, but then in England, to break this code. And then the Americans took that code and created machines that broke it even faster. And so all of this happened and probably ended the war 2 years earlier by just having this. So this machine is significant. I mean, it changed history with it. So ours has the purchase order. It was purchased in 1936 by the German army from the company that created it. It was actually created, though, for business. It was for businesses to talk about intellectual property or whatever they, as today, our businesses want to talk to each other and keep things secure. Sure. So that's what it was created for. It was used differently, but we have this machine and we have the graphics that tell that story. And we continue to go back to the storytelling. That is important. Otherwise, we have machines sitting on shelves and you don't know the significance of it. And so we've continued with those. We have an Apollo 11 exhibit. And I'm still amazed, even at my own age, that I look at all of this and think, how in the world did we get people to the moon and back 51 years ago? It's pretty incredible what we were able to accomplish when you sort of read through and you look at the computers and things like that. We're now moving into our supercomputer exhibit. We believe we probably have one of the largest exhibits of supercomputers in the world. We're a little afraid to say we definitely have it because someone will come forward and say, oh, no, we've got one more than you. So we were careful with it, but it's large. And we're trying to really increase the visuals in that area, again, to tell the stories. Most people will come in and say, oh, yeah, not this big, huge machine, and now it's all in the palm of my hand. And that's true for a number of years. But there are still supercomputers today helping with the COVID-19 virus and finding a vaccine that are running just enormous amounts of algorithms every second. So still hugely important to civilization. And so we like to look back at the Cray 1, one of the first ones that was doing this. It's incredible, the history.
That's awesome. Now you've mentioned exhibits. Let's talk a little bit about programming and what you've got there for folks to take advantage of.
Well, that is an area that, in full disclosure, we have not been able to just really go all out the way we want to. Again, starting in January, we were about to really build and start recruiting some early field trips so that we could make sure we're good to go and have more and more. But that stopped. And I doubt there will be any field trips even in the spring of 2021. So we're probably looking at that for the fall. But we are continuing to build that program for when we're able to return to it. We had a couple of STEAM camps planned this past summer, but those were canceled. So these are the things that have been a little bit frustrating for us at the museum, of course. We did have a nice summer story time. It was really kind of nice to get back to something that felt a bit more normal. So on Fridays, people could come in. Of course, daycares couldn't, and that was a shame. So, but people could come in, and we all wore our masks, and we kept ourselves distanced because we have 35,000 square feet. People are not walking into one of the small, beautiful Roswell historic homes. That's not what we have. It's 35,000 square feet with an additional 10,000 square feet of event space for events that will be held. Again, I know they will.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll be ready. But we had this story time, and what was really great, it was fiction and nonfiction, but it was kind of directed to the 6 to 10-year-old, and we called it Tech Tales. Just, letting young minds learn about women in programming. We had an author who lives in Ball Ground, Georgia. She came and read from the book that she had written, T-Bone the Drone, and flew her drone inside the museum. So that was a really exciting and fun day. So we kept technology at the forefront of this little program. We are currently doing what we're calling, I think I love an alliteration if I can get the words in the right order, but it's the family fun field trips. So we know that even if you're in school, you're doing it virtually, you've got a hybrid, whatever way our K-12 are learning right now, they are not taking field trips. So what can we do to maybe help with that? So we are offering for, third, fourth, fifth grade, all the way through 12th, some activities that they can do if they come into the museum, just a little bit rigorous and fun. So we wanted, like it would be if your teacher was bringing you. So we would have people look for certain things inside the museum, use their imagination. If you're going to create a video game, what would your main character look like? That would be a great, fourth grade, fifth grade question. But for someone in high school, it may be to write a paragraph on some technology, what you've seen today, and what do you think it could evolve to. So, just different ideas. So it's a field trip, but it would be for families. So that's some of the programming we're doing now. For the future, we envision tech talks where we bring in a lot of the people you probably talk to, people in technology. We have so much here in the Atlanta area, just so many young tech companies. And these are the people I really want to engage with. I think their mission, our mission, we should be working together a lot. But bring these folks in to talk about what they're doing and, perhaps do some things with, I won't say job training, but how about things like describing how to get into certain careers for maybe even the mid 20-year-old who's not quite happy with what they're doing and not quite sure where they want to go. We see ourselves being that kind of place for the community. But again, we have to build that trust and that recognition and become a go-to. I know we're not yet a go-to. Oh, I'm looking for a camp. Let me check Computer Museum of America. That's not happening yet. Yeah. But it will.
Well, and let's say for folks that are listening to this show in 2021, we're recording this here in September 2020. So keep checking in, right? Because things change. The pandemic changes, and that changes a lot of things in plans. And who knows? You may be doing some of this earlier than what we all.
We're ready.
We are ready. We're all ready, right? So I think the bottom line is check the website, call, and get updated whenever you're listening to this show.
Right. Right.
As folks, we are here with Rena Youngblood, and she is the executive director of the Computer Museum of America. So, Rena, let's talk about event space. I had the pleasure of being at an event at your facility, and it was marvelous. Y'all did a great job with that, with the Greater North Fulton Chamber event that I attended here recently. Talk about what you offer for those that are looking for event space.
Sure. What you came to was our first event really since February, and in a space that normally could hold up to 300, we spread 50, right? I think you guys we spread 50 people. It was just an amazing, but it was good to know it could be done.
Sure.
So, we love working with the chamber on that. It was a great thing because now if people did have something that, you're hearing about these small weddings and small get-togethers, but they have to be in very large spaces. We're prepared to help with that. But before the pandemic, and what we hope to return to sooner rather than later, are these larger up to 300-400 people. We've had some of the larger tech companies in town have done some events at the museum. It's kind of a blank slate, and you probably saw that. You can change it to be the theme that you want it to be. It's kind of a warehouse-like facility, so it's very cool. As we talk to a lot of meeting planners and things like that, it's always, if you're talking to someone who says, I want something different, a little quirky, it's like, okay, this is where you want to be. And there's free parking. So, that's always exciting to a lot of people.
Yeah. And lots of free parking too. That's a nice,
there is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Plenty. So, it's an exciting place. And things can be arranged. We had someone bring in a DeLorean. So as the people were coming in at the front, they passed the DeLorean because they were doing a Back to the Future theme. And,
cool.
And that was really fun. And so, you can have that space if you want. You can open the glass garage doors and have a time inside the museum, which people seem to really like. You've been sitting in a meeting maybe, and now it's time for the reception. So from 4 to 5:30, we open the doors and everybody can take their glass of wine and walk through the museum and see the exhibits. And so that's a lot of fun. I miss that.
Right.
So I want to get back to it.
Yeah, sure. So let's talk about, I guess, how folks can support you. So, are there memberships? Obviously you can go up to the door and pay for, your time inside for the day, but are there memberships?
There are. We have memberships. As a matter of fact, we extended, of course, everyone's membership 3 months due to being closed. But we had our first couple come in this past weekend and renew their membership. So, we take every small success and make the most out of it. So we were really, really happy to see that. Anyone who does that is giving you a vote of support and confidence, and that means a lot to us. But yes, we have memberships for single, adult, dual, family memberships. And those are great. Donations are what keeps the programming coming, what really helps raise awareness of our existence. That's huge. We have corporate memberships. Sponsorships will come back as we have events and have more programming. But corporate memberships right now are something that I think will work well with our community, because we're not just saying, just do something that's good and good for the community, but we're going to help with that. There's some free admissions that you can use to give to clients or as an employee recognition. Your employees, as long as they can say that they work for your company, can have certain discounts in the gift shop. Certain levels will have discounts on event space. Other levels, we may be able to facilitate some volunteer time for your employees if they want to work with us on a Saturday workshop, where maybe we have some people come in and they can help kids learn how to code a Raspberry Pi that does something. So we have a lot of ideas that we want to work with, again, the companies around us and throughout Atlanta to come up with. So that's a big one. It is on our website, which is computermuseumofamerica.org. It's long, but it's easy to remember. But there's a lot going on there. So we would encourage anyone to take a look and just come by and see us. I think that's it. One of the best things that we hear, we get to see, is the person who's leaving, and I might be standing there. What did you think? Did you like what you saw? And to hear the person who says, well, I'm not a techie. It's amazing how many people start with that response. Well, I'm not a techie. They're usually, maybe they were drugged there by someone. I don't know. I'm not a techie, but this was so much more than I expected. And that is a huge compliment to us, right? Yep. We know that we probably aren't going to teach anything really new to the really, really technical people. Our hope there is that we present it in a way that maybe they haven't considered it before. But the person who says, I'm not technical, well, if they're my age, they might remember having the phone inside a bag, right? I'm like, oh yeah, I had my bag phone. I had my new Maxima, my new job. I was it. I remember that. So there's a certain amount of nostalgia that kind of comes along with our museum as well. And then suddenly you start to think, well, maybe I am more technical than I thought, because it is in all aspects of our life.
For sure. Well, Rena, this has been great. And I can't imagine that folks that hear you talk about it with the enthusiasm you have wouldn't be excited to come and, or certainly learn more information on what they, how to do that. So let's get to that. The important question is how they can be in touch with you and connect and learn more.
Absolutely. Well, we are open right now on Fridays, 12 to 5, and on Saturdays, 10 to 5. You check our website. We have a few things that are ongoing. We have a punch card machine, which a lot of people of a certain age remember, and it's a lot of fun. And especially when we talk to younger people, you see these punch cards, and you tell them that half a tweet, fits on this whole card. And that's how computer programming had been done. So they get to sit and they get to actually punch a card and take it home with them. So that's a fun little event that people can do. So check the website for that. And then we just will have other things ongoing. But anyone can reach me. I'm at Youngblood at thecmoa.org. So if they have any questions, if they're interested in learning more about the corporate memberships, sponsorships, just want to support us because the mission is strong. It's good. It's different from most things, I believe, in our area, and our area is poised to just have a great experience here. We want people to come in from Austin, Texas, and they're here for business, but they've heard of the Computer Museum of America, and they want to make time to visit while they're here on business. We want that kind of national recognition, and we can only do that with the help of people in Atlanta.
Absolutely. And for people that want to support, you're a 501c3, correct? Nonprofit.
We are a nonprofit. Thank you for bringing that up.
Right.
I sometimes forget to mention it. Yes, we are.
No, we want to get that out there, and we've got to tell folks that the usual disclaimer: consult your tax advisor, but support of the Computer Museum of America could be tax deductible, right? So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you're
absolutely.
So please connect with Rena Youngblood, who is the executive director of the Computer Museum of America. Rena, this has been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. This was terrific. I really enjoyed it.
It was a pleasure. Folks, just a quick reminder as we wrap up here. If you've got some headaches, and those headaches involve administrative tasks, maybe you've got some bookkeeping problems, maybe you've got some marketing issues, and you need to get those things off your desk so you can work on the rest of your business. Well, I've got an idea that involves calling Essie Escobedo over at Office Angels. Now, Essie and her team work with a wide variety of businesses, nonprofits, terrific spread of businesses that she works with. And what they do is they've been virtual for 20 years, and they've got a team that Essie picks the best of and fits your problem, and they fly in, get the job done, and fly out. And they've been doing it virtually for 20 years now. So 770-442-9246 is how you connect with Essie directly, or you can go to officeangels.us for more information. Also, folks, North Fulton Business Radio is the search term if you want to go find us on your favorite podcast app. And we're on all of them. There's not one we're not on. I hadn't been corrected on this yet, so go try. But we would love it if you would go review us on your favorite app, subscribe, but review us and support the show that way, because it helps people find the show, people that might be looking for the Computer Museum of America, or who knows, any of our other 300 guests. Or 300 shows that we've had, almost 550 or whatever guests that we've had over 4 years. It really helps people find those guests, and that's what we're all about here, is promoting the good work that our guests are doing. We're also on social media, North Fulton BRX on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. So for my guest, Rena Youngblood, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.